Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Welcome to this video. My name is Lindsay and I run the blog Books for Christian Girls. Yes, it's been a minute since I posted. Again, I apologize for that. I thought this video we could just have a kind of chill, sit down video and talk about my recent reads. I thought I had done a video. I'm starting at my laptop so we can get talking about some of these books. But I really thought I had done a recent reads video at some point during 2021. But apparently not. So, we're just gonna, I know last time I did a recent reads I asked, like, do you want to see all the books I've read? Or do you just want to see, I just messed up my password, oops. Or do you want to just hear, like, the highlights or even the lowlights? And it was pretty apparent, I think would be the word I'm looking for, that y'all really wanted all of them. Okay, so I'm sorry, I will do that in a future video at some point in a recent reads. I'll just share all of them. But this is going to kind of be more of like an overview, kind of summary style, because I haven't filmed a video, or I just haven't even filmed a recent reads video in so long. So let's just start going through. I hope y'all are doing well. Let's see if there was any interesting books to talk about. So this is also kind of like, I guess you could say, a mid-year check-in, because it's now August, so a little past mid-year. Okay, but I set my goal to be 50 books for 2021, and I've read 57. I'm still debating if I'm going to bump it up, but at this point, I might just leave it how it is, because I don't know which ones I want to read next. Like, I have a handful of books I definitely want to read before the year ends, but I don't know if any in particular, like, big series or anything that would push me to like 75 or 100. I think I'll probably hit 75, hopefully, because of like reviewing books and whatnot, but I don't know if I'll hit 100 this year. This year's just been kind of different. Okay, so let's just start. Where should I start? Let's start all the way back in January, shall we? I know this is kind of weird to do, but there's certain books I want to highlight. I'm not going to talk about all of them. So I talked about this book a little bit in a recent video, and that was Things We Didn't Say by Amy Lynn Green. I gave this book 3.5 stars, and one thing I thought was really cool about it was completely told in like a letter format. Because she is, let me read the back cover, make sure I don't spoil things. Daisy. Shh, we're filming. She wanted to be in here with me today, y'all, and I don't know why. Why? I don't have the fan on, so it's not because it's cool in here. No, hush. Daisy. Yoo-hoo. Daisy. Hi. Are you going to come join me? I don't know if they can see you. They'll probably be able to see your tail. Nope, not even your tail. I have the camera a little high. Just lay down, it's okay. Just lay down. Just lay down. Hi. Hi. There, y'all saw the tail. Okay. She really likes the cubby under my bed. Say hi. Can't, don't. Shh. Shh. You gotta be quiet. The microphone will pick you up. Okay, so starting back in January, I read Things We Didn't Say by Amy Lynn Green, which is her debut book, and I gave it 3.5 stars. And what was really cool about this book, though, was the emphasis on foreign languages. And I obviously love that topic. And it was set, though, during World War II, and the main girl, this entire book is told through the stories of letters and notes and that kind of thing. And I thought that was very fascinating. There's a name of what that is, and I can't think of what that is when a book is set through letters. But I just haven't read one that's fully set through letters like that, and that was just fascinating. But she works as a translator and someone who censors the letters of German prisoners of war here in the States back during World War II. Okay, so as far as for my personal opinion on this book, I honestly don't know, though, if I would have read this book had I known it was going to be letters. Like, I think I might have, like, kind of pushed it off a little bit. But I enjoyed that aspect. It was just different from what the typical format of historical fiction is. And then I would say it's probably not for those who are sensitive to World War II, because you deal with a lot of prejudice in this book, of course. And overall, though, it was pretty clean for a World War II book. But yeah, 3.5 stars. The next book, okay, let me grab my phone because I took notes after I read it. Okay, Court of Swans by Melanie Dickerson. It's book 1 in her new series. And book 2 released as well, so I will be talking about book 2, which, spoiler, I enjoyed way more. Okay, spoiler, but not a spoiler about the plot. I enjoyed that second book much better than this one. This one, oh gosh, have I even talked about the Peasant's Dream, though, on here? Peasant's Dream, where is that? I feel like I read this one last year, and I don't even think I talked about this one, so which one should I discuss first? Let's discuss this one real quick. Let me see. Oh my, Lindsay, that's a lot of thoughts. I have so many thoughts, y'all. I'm just gonna like them right there. Yeah, lots of thoughts on the Peasant's Dream. Okay, so this is kind of going back because this is not a 2021 book I read. I read it last year, I think. Yeah, last year. And this is the last book in the Hagenheim series, which is Melanie Dickerson's main fairy tale retelling series. I don't remember actually what I gave this one. 3.5. Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure. I do have to say it definitely wasn't my favorite of the series. It was a bittersweet book because it was, you know, the last book in the series. But yeah, yeah, 3.5 stars. Okay, so the last few chapters, the ballroom scene, don't forget about the ballroom scene, made the book for me. I could basically overlook everything because the characters, we got to see the beloved characters from the prior books in the series, like everybody all together, and that made the series for me. I do wish the youngest son's story would be told, but this is how it is. Okay, so now for the part I wasn't thrilled about. I want to say this is probably the absolute lowest I've ever had my expectations for a Melanie Dickerson book going into this book. Kind of pains my heart to say these words out loud. Yes, it does. I just don't think I was expecting a lot because of the last couple books. And I can easily say now that The Piper's Pursuit is probably my least favorite in this series, which I honestly don't think I talked about on this channel either. Oops. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of that one. It felt a little darker than I was expecting for different reasons. But it could change. That could change if I read through all of them again. I would like to reread this series though to give a cohesive opinion on all of them. Will I ever get to that? Debatable, because I started this series 7 years ago, which was like right after the 4th book came out. The Fairest Beauty, I believe, is book 4. If it's not, I will edit the correct one that is on screen. I think what a lot of readers who have been following this series for a while is we're just ready to see what's new from Melanie Dickerson. And yeah, Freddie, was that Frederick? Okay, I called him Freddie in this review because he wasn't my favorite. But yeah, he wasn't my least favorite. Him and Adela? Yeah, Adela and Frederick, weren't my favorite. They weren't my least favorite, but they definitely weren't my favorite. I still would stand by that The Merchant's Daughter and The Princess Spy were probably my favorite 2 books from this series. But again, that could change. One of the problems I really had with this book though was the instant attraction, insta-love kind of plot line, because they'd be like, oh, to the other person, but then they're like, nope, we're friends, we're artists, we get each other. And I'm like, you're not fooling nobody, but okay. And they were kind of thinking about kissing them, and then their first kiss, and they just thought about it a lot, and I was just like, please stop, please stop, please stop. Side note, we get a little bonus love story thrown at the end, and I guess it was fine. I feel like you're distracting me more from the actual story, but I digress. And, you know, you weren't great, but the ballroom scene, yeah, the ballroom scene just made this book better for me, so there it is. Okay, so we got that one. I'm sorry it's been that long since I haven't talked about some of these books. Okay, so now going on with Court of Swans. Do y'all hear Daisy snoring? Oh, I said her name. She woke up. Never mind. Sorry, Daisy. Okay, so now going back to the Court of Swans, which is book 1 in the Derricott Tale, her new series. And we're going to see this as I'm going to rant about this, unfortunately, in another book too, that I am tired of the villain of a book being interested in the main girl in a sexual way. I'm tired of that trope. I'm like, can we just have better villains? Can we have villains that are not this way? Because that is used so much in historical fiction. I could do a separate whole rant video on that. I am tired of the dastardly cads that are out to ruin the girl's reputation, and the main guy, who's basically a hero, has to come save her just in time. It's like, no, and I'm getting annoyed with that in Christian fiction, and unfortunately I'll be talking about that in another beloved author's book, and I'm tired about that. In this one, I do feel like there was some things that were very convenient for the plot line, unfortunately. I gave this one 3 stars. I liked how her and her brothers, how they care for each other so much, but yeah, there was a lot of things that I'm like, well, that's a little convenient for the plot line. As far as the romance portion, I can't say I really enjoyed it between this main couple, because he is there to arrest her brothers and she's having a fit to be tied, of course. And I don't know. Like, I think that was supposed to be a little bit of like the enemies to lovers trope or arc, but I didn't find that romantic or swoon worthy at all. So there's that. I didn't really feel any special connection to either of the main characters personally, so I mean, I liked certain aspects. I liked her sibling relationship with her brothers. I liked seeing her faith grow, but overall it was kind of lackluster in my opinion. I'm sorry, but it's true. In my opinion, it just wasn't quite what I was wanting. But to skip ahead a few months, but to keep it on the Melanie Dickerson side, the book 2 of this series, Castle of Refuge, came out, and I did enjoy this one quite a bit more than book 1, Court of Swans. Which, okay, off topic, but wouldn't you think this lettering needs to be raised and bumpy? It looks like it should be, and it's not. And I was very confused because this one is slightly raised, very slightly. This is flat, and that's just a pet peeve, but that's me. I just pick up on little details. Okay, so for Castle of Refuge, book 2 by Melanie Dickerson in the Derricott Tale. I struggle so hard with last names, y'all. I gave this book 4 stars, and I would consider this first book decent, but this one was much better in my opinion. So if you read the first book and you're like, no, I'm not going to read the second book, I can't blame you. However, I will say I found this one to be much better. Let's see. I have to reread my reviews because it's been way too long. I really liked Audrey, the main girl in this. The faiths shown in this book really reminded me of the second book in the Hagenheim series, The Merchant's Daughter, which I just mentioned is one of my favorite books from that original series. And I just really liked the faith shown in this one. This one really made it better. And I don't know if maybe I focused more on her than him, Edwin. But he didn't really stand out to me. I was kind of like, take him or leave him. I don't know if we didn't see enough of his thoughts, or I just paid too much on her, because I really did like her as a main character. I'm reading my reviews and I'm like, oh, okay, that was in this book. I used to do so good with remembering all the books, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to my brain, but I have a comment that it might be an odd thing to comment on, but I really like the pacing of this book and how long it felt. Which not in the, oh my goodness, this book is so long kind of way, but in the pacing just seemed very good. So that also was just a positive thing. It wasn't like a instant love like other books. The romance was very sweet and clean. And even though there was no mentions of men trying to take advantage of young women, finally, thank you, I would still think this book would probably be best for high schoolers because of said romance. And it's a little more like, yes, this is a medieval book. Yes, these girls are in high school. But I think the whole age difference that people talk about from like someone in a historical novel, well, that might be 19 now, is like comparable to like today's, I don't know. But have y'all heard that debate? I've heard that debate a lot. And so there is that. Okay, those two books are discussed. Now, moving on. I actually reread like 5 books, and I want to discuss those in a separate video just about rereading. So I think I might hold off on talking about them now. So I will come back to that on another day. I reread more than 5 books, but I think I'll probably just talk about 5 to 7 of the books I've reread. So there's that. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what books I've talked about like on my anticipated reads list. Okay, I own a couple of these books that I rated higher ratings. So I'm just going to comment on the rating, and if you'd like to see my review on them, I will link them down below, but I don't have anything like particularly special to say about them in this video, and I want to talk about other books a little bit more. So to go on, okay, I feel like I've discussed this book in that anticipated reads video because it was a chance book, and that was My Dear Miss Dupre. I know that's not the right way to say it, but I apologize. By Grace Hitchcock. It had a great premise, but I ended up only giving it 3 stars. I also read The Summer of Rice Candy by Debbie Viguie, which I gave 4 stars. And that's book 5 in the Sweet Seasons series, and I've discussed that one quite a bit. I read All Through the Night by Tara Johnson and gave it 1 star because of content such as prejudice, blood and major injuries, dead horses, and possible rape. I read The Farm Stand by Amy Clipston, gave it 2 stars. To Love a Prince by Rachel Hackett, I gave it 2 stars. February was a rough reading month, y'all. When Twilight Breaks by Sarah Sundin, I also gave 2 stars because of content. And there is those. Okay, moving on. I want to talk about the books I reread so much, but I'm not going to. I'm going to save them. I actually reread a lot more books than I thought, though. So that's interesting. Some I rated higher than the first time I read them. Some I rated lower, and some stayed the same. So, interesting. Okay, I finally read, where is it? I'm pretty sure I have a physical copy. Don't I have a physical copy? Ah, here it is. I finally read Counted Worthy by Leah E. Good, and I say finally because I've owned this book on Kindle for years and I've never read it. And then I hauled it in my recent Christian fiction haul, and I ended up giving this book, pretty sure 4 stars? 3.5. 3.5 stars. I thought it was interesting because I haven't read a dystopian book in so long, and I miss my dystopian books. There was a few parts that felt maybe a little rough or needed editing, but overall I thought it was very interesting, even though it could be a little scary at times because of like the reality of, hey, Bibles are illegal and you're on the run and that kind of thing. But yeah, it was interesting. If a sequel ever would release, I would definitely read it. So yeah, there's that one. Yay for a dystopian book. And then I read A Life Once Dreamed by Rachel Fordham, which I gave 3.5 stars. And while, as of her current ranking at the time I read this, this was her 3rd book that released last year that I didn't get to read because of moving. And this life was busy. So I read this one, and I would put it as my least favorite from her as of when this was the third book. And it didn't stand out to me as much as the other ones. That's not to say I didn't enjoy it, because I definitely did. It just didn't stand out to me as much as The Hope of Azure Springs and Yours Truly, Thomas. I really liked those two. But this one, I have read a lot of historical fiction, right? A lot of historical fiction. I've been in this industry 8 years. I read some prior to starting BFCG. So a long time, y'all. And I've read a lot. If you have 3 books published, especially by a traditional publisher, I've probably read at least one. Like I'm saying, I've read a lot of historical fiction. And I've seen a lot of books that deal with illegitimate children. However, none of them have handled the plotline of illegitimate children with as much compassion as this book did. And it was just compassion and sincerity, and I could just feel the author's heart for this, and I loved that aspect of it. I really like how I quoted, and I feel bad when I just quote my review, because like, hey, y'all can go read my review. Why do I need to re-quote it? Like, why are you wasting your time doing both? But I really like how I wrote this one line, so I'm just going to read it. I'm sorry. But the past books I've read with illegitimate children or grown adults in them were more along the lines of the main character being, oh, that's wrong to look down on them because of that, but never speaks up about it. And Angie, the main character of this, was so not that character. She was completely enraged by the unjustness of the hateful words towards those who could not control how they were born, and she spoke about it often, which just endeared her to me, because I'm like, yes, you go, girl. You have, as an infant, as a baby, as a child, as an adult, you have no say in where you were born, the conditions you were born in, and who you were born to. And that's just something I felt the author's sincerity, compassion, and enraged at the injustice. And I loved seeing that in a historical Christian fiction book, because I don't see that discussed in that kind of way. So, bravo to the author of this. When I was writing this review, I could not remember the word in English for sulky. My brain just kept going, pisota, pisota, in Korean. I'm like, what is that in English? I'm like, this is what James is being towards Angie in these last moments. I could not think of the name in English. What he was being in English, I couldn't think of it. So like I'm going on my translator, and I finally found out, oh, sulky. He's kind of sulking. Yeah, that's it. So while I never really got into their romance of the side, I really just loved the situations that were discussed in this book in that regard. Overall, I enjoyed the actual plot line and the romance. So yeah. Not my favorite by this author, because the other two were just so good, but I still really enjoyed this one. So, also I want to discuss, I discussed this in some video lately. I gave this one 4 stars, and that is, I said lately because I don't remember which video. I will just link it up there, y'all. And that is Seeing Voices by Olivia Smit. I hauled this one in that same Christian fiction haul, and I got to read this. So, I knew this book was going to have some kind of heaviness to the topic, because the main girl has lost her hearing because of a car accident, and her family has moved to another province set in Canada for the summer to house sit, and she's just trying to not only basically survive, but she's also just trying to mend her relationship with her brother that has just done a 180 after the car accident. And the thing is, there was just such a rawness to this book. And I believe I described this in my prior video about some people think of Christian YA as just being fluff. And this book was not that. It just was not that. It dealt with a rawness. The characters were vulnerable, almost to a point that I felt uncomfortable reading. Like, I felt like I was reading their diary, almost. That vulnerability that's, you can relate to in certain aspects. I feel like I'm butchering talking about this book, but I don't really know how to explain, besides the fact I felt like I was in Skylar's private thoughts about her life and whatnot, which just, I think that's a sign of a good author, to make you feel what the character is feeling. So bravo to the author. It was the best way I could describe this book was it was beautifully broken. And I know that's a phrase that's used often in different things. But yeah, I would describe this book as that. I'm very much looking forward to the sequel. Apparently a lot of things have changed. So yes, I have to order the second book. I haven't read the sequel yet, and I really want to. Oh, noting on my review, there is no romance in the story. There's mentions of crushes and possibly liking a guy, but more hints to that, which was another positive in my regard. So yes, I need to read book 2. I'm looking forward to reading book 2. Next, we have, where is, here we go. No Journey Too Far by Carrie Turansky, which is book 2, or the sequel book to No Ocean Too Wide, which I have discussed. This is like a book that ripped my heart out because it was just like, like if I want to talk, I reread this book actually before I read this one, and it still emotionally was just like, oh, wait, that's history, but like this is a history moment that I'm sensitive towards, so it was just like, oh my goodness, where's my box of tissues? But okay, book 2, I gave this one 4 stars. I was not expecting this book to be so 10 years after the other book. Like there's a time jump. You read this one, you finish, you're in suspense. You pick this one up, it's 10 years later. And I was like, oh. I mean, that's realistic, I know, but I was just like, I want everything wrapped up with a bow. I'm sorry. I just like my Christian fiction that way. I like my books wrapped up with a bow where everybody's happy and healthy and lovely. But that's not how life is, unfortunately. So that was it. Okay, so on that 10-year note, I wanted to comment that it was kind of my fault because of this, because I read them back to back. But it was very weird reading them about them as young children, and then my age, that was strange. But that was my own fault for reading them back to back. Maybe wait a little bit. The main thing I love about Carrie Turansky's books is that the faith content, the spiritual content is just top-notch. I recommend her books all the time because of this. Because of just how clean they are. And then the faith content, like I know a lot of people look as Christian fiction as you can't really get much out of it besides enjoyment, which is something I will argue about for a long, long time because I don't think it's that way. I think there are Christian fiction books that are fluff, but there's also ones you can be touched upon by the message in the book, and Miss Carrie Turansky's books are that way. I always learn, or a certain scripture that she uses in there just sticks out to me. I still really enjoy seeing characters' faiths lived out in these books, and Miss Carrie Turansky does that just so well. So well. I do have a note that it could be triggering for adoptees because of one of the girls' family situations. But yes, I was just happy to see the conclusion of this series, to see the family connected again. Even though it felt a little fast-paced at times, I still enjoyed seeing how it all worked out. Okay, next, speaking of Rachel Fordham's books, we have A Lady in Attendance, which is her newest book. Read this one in June. Okay, so I gave this one 3 stars, and this would probably be my least favorite by the author just far, and that's because Hazel and Gilbert, both fine characters. I just struggled with this novel and the fact that so much happens and so much information is just given in large doses. So I struggled with that. Like when Hazel told her past to Gilbert, I had to reread that part probably 4 times to fully take in. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, it wasn't anything near insta-love, which was a positive. They were so cute together, so it was kind of easy to overlook the fact that I had difficulty at a couple parts reading in the sense of taking in the information. On my review, I commented that they've kind of fallen in love quicker than the prior book, which felt very slow, which I really liked. That just steadiness. It just felt like a steady in A Life Once Dreamed. This one, it was a bit quicker, but I think that's because that's the last third. They have to... Spoilers, I can't say. But they have to do stuff. And so there was a bit more thinking about kissing or flirting in this book than I was expecting. But it was still cute. I gave it 3 stars, and I'm still looking forward to her next book. So, yeah. I'm excited to talk about these two. I hauled these. I talked about Twinepathy by C.B. Cook. I also reread that one and read book 2, Lightporter. It's got how to say them on the back cover, which is brilliant for me who has struggles with this. I'm eagerly awaiting book 3. Like, I want to read book 3 so bad. I don't know when it's coming out, but I really want to read them. I gave both of these 4 stars. They are not considered Christian fiction. They are clean YA, dealing with superpowers and superheroes and super villains and that kind of thing. And I just thought, hi Daisy. Where are you going? You're gonna hang out under there? You can hang out under there. What are you doing? You're funny. You want to be in here with me while I film. You need a breath mint. I'm sorry. I love you. What you doing? She likes going under my bed. I don't know why. What are you doing? Are you hot? I don't have the fan on, that's why. Don't step on the laptop, please. Where are you going? Okay, you wanna lay down? That's become her little cubby now. She's so funny. Okay, so back to books. Not Christian fiction. Daisy, you have to be quiet though. Good girl. Okay, so not Christian fiction, but very clean, very entertaining, very much awaiting book 3. I want answers. So yes, there we go. We gave them both 4 stars. Okay, and then we have Defier, The Girl Who Stood by Mandy Fender. I gave this book 2 stars, and I feel bad about that because it's a dystopian book that I've been looking forward to. However, my main problem with it was just so sad. It was so sad. Nobody told me this book was that sad. It was just, okay, so I really like my comments on this. I had 3 emotions during this book. 1, this is so sad. Number 2, well, that's awfully convenient. She gets a cut and the guy knows how to stitch her up. Now, mind you, they're 18 and have a crush on each other. Do you happen to know an 18-year-old boy that could give stitches to his crush on her forehead? Because I sure don't. I digress. And then 3, well, this is appropriate for the times because dystopian books. But, yeah, unfortunately, I gave it 2 stars. I was considering reading the rest of the series, but I don't think I'll be doing it. But the cover is still one of the best ones out there, especially for indie printed books. So, yes. I also reread So Not Happening by Jenny B. Jones, which I will be talking about in my rereading video, because I gave it 1 star. Again, and we'll discuss why in that video. Then I read Sustaining Faith by Janette Oak. That is book 2. And I feel like I discussed the first book in a video where I really just had a problem with the sisters not trusting each other. And in this book, I really just do not like any of the romance or hinted romance or all these guys. Now, I don't watch the TV show that this series is based off of. It's a companion novel, so you have the When Calls the Heart series on Hallmark, and then they did the When Hope Calls, and this is book 2 in that companion. And I don't watch When Calls the Heart anymore. I think I stopped at season 4 because I was kind of tired of all the guys and things happening. So I stopped watching that one, and then When Hope Calls, I watched a few episodes of, but I don't know, I feel bad because I feel like I should like it, but it's just, there's something about it that just, I don't think it's for me, and I think that's how this series is turning out, because the sisters, there's just too many men around them, and then you see jealousy between them in the sense of, oh, why aren't they telling me if they're interested in this guy, and I just wasn't enjoying it, to say the least. So, 2 stars. Then I read, okay, y'all, don't judge me for this. I read How to Kiss a Guy in 10 Days by Liwen. Why? Oh, I am so sorry. I don't feel like that. I'm pretty positive I did not say that right at all. I'm sorry. There is no Christian content except there is a mention of an answer to prayer and a blessing. This author has written other books before that I've read. And basically this book was cheesy. Yes. It was entertaining. Yes. I'm going to sneeze. Yes. I'm not going to sneeze. Okay. We're good. It's all about dating and kind of like that whole fake dating trope, which I really like. I don't know why. That's just like, that's a trope I like. I'm concerned, I know, but yes, I gave it 3 stars. It was cheesy, yes. Entertaining, yes. Cringy, yes. But it also was pretty cute and kind of took my mind off of life for a couple hours, so that was nice. And it was free on Kindle Unlimited. It was entertaining. It kept my attention. It was cringy, but it was clean and it was pretty cute. So there we go. Okay, last book I'm going to be talking about. Yes, this is my most recent book. And that is To Right or Wrong by Jen Turano. I gave this book 3 stars. And new books smell so good. Okay, I gave this book 3 stars, and I was going to give it 4 stars because I love Daphne so much. She was hilarious. I literally laughed out loud while reading this multiple times, and she was just enjoyable. She's a mystery writer at the Bleecker Street Inquiry Agency, which is book 2 of that series, and he is a mystery writer, and they both have the mindset that I will write about the mysteries, but I'm not going to go chase down a murderer. Or will they? So they just have that kind of mindset that I'm going to stay at home where it's safe. Y'all have fun. Tell me about what happens and I'll write about it. They both have that mentality. And I thought that was very cute. I thought they were very cute together. Their wit. She was so well spoken. Like, I wanted to take notes. She was great. So beginning and middle, I adored this book tremendously. And then there was 31 pages. And if we want to be exact, it started at 281. Yeah, 281 to about 311 roughly. Things that were revealed in between those I personally was uncomfortable with. And I think to each their own. However, assault is something I am very sensitive towards. And I'm waiting for Christian fiction publishers to get on board with doing trigger warnings at the beginning of a book, because there's a lot of secular publishers, especially in the YA industry, that are doing that. They're saying if this book deals with suicide or rape or assault, etc. And I wish Christian fiction would get on with that. The Christian publishers would do that as well for their fiction books, because I can't tell you how many moms I've met in bookstores when they're like holding a book and I see their 11-year-old daughter or around that age, and I'm like, that might not be the best book for your daughter. And yes, I am that person that goes up. I am a nosy Nelly, and I just go up and I'm like, I don't think that would be the best book for your daughter. And they're like, oh, it's a Christian book, isn't it? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I thought it would be safe. I'm like, yeah, you would think. No. I've had that actually happen multiple times, because when I go to a bookstore, I try and make friends is what I do. But in this case, with To Right or Wrong, there were serious discussions about anxiety attacks. A side character has them, kind of. And then men abusing women, men not taking no for an answer, and the need for women to be able to protect themselves, which I agree to that women should be able to protect themselves. That's an important thing. I live in Texas. Of course I'm going to agree with that. However, I just really struggled with those 30 pages, and even though I enjoyed the rest of the book, I really, really struggled with those 30 pages, because at the end, even though the very end was adorable, very cute, I almost had like an aftertaste in my mouth because of those 30 pages. And it's not like it's the first time. There's the whole dastardly cad that tries to take advantage of a woman. There's not, I've seen that a lot. Seen that a lot. However, when she's a minor, that's when I'm like, an attempt is made on a minor, and we hear the man's twisted thoughts, and I was just disappointed in that regard. I was just disappointed in that regard, which is unfortunate because I enjoyed the rest of the book tremendously. I was going to give it 4 stars. The humor was fantastic. It gave me joy for all the humor moments and their wit back and forth, but because of that content for the 30 pages, I'm gonna, and of course it wasn't detailed, but I just don't like reading about twisted people like that. I just don't, and unfortunately that's reality, I know, but I still don't like reading about it in my fiction books. So I feel bad whenever I have to give a negative point to a book, especially of an author that I really enjoy. But I'm being honest, y'all, and that is what I'm supposed to do when I receive a book for review, is being honest. Fair Trade Commission's guidelines and all that. So, personally, I feel more comfortable giving this book a 3-star with a warning for triggering content. So yeah, To Right or Wrong by Jen Turano. I am still very much looking forward to the 3rd book that I believe is releasing in January, To Disguise the Truth. The cover looks fantastic. Very much looking forward to getting that girl's story. But yeah, there we go. Those are the books I've read. I feel weird. I feel like I'm ending this on a kind of sadder note, which I don't mean to, because I did overall enjoy the book, but unfortunately there was just content, which there's content in a lot of books, and then I talk about them and I get comments about it, so let's not do that, y'all. Let's be nice, shall we? Okay, and there are the physical books that I have read lately. Woohoo! I feel kind of weird leaving this video on that kind of topic. So, it's funny, when you see the number 57 books, you're like, oh, wow, that sounds like a lot. But then you kind of scroll, and it doesn't look like that many. Like, it doesn't look like 57, but I was terrible at the jelly bean guessing games at, like, any event. So, who am I to judge? Maybe this was why I was bad at that. But, yeah, there we are. That is this video. Those are some of my recent reads. I'm not talking about all of them, of course, because there's been quite a few. Like the Camp Club Girls series, been knocking those out. The last couple have been a little disappointing, which I'm a little sad about, but hopefully the next couple will be better, because there's not many left in that series for me to review. I also did read and review the 4 books in, what is the official name? Princess and Camo series by Missy Robertson and Mia Robertson and Jill Osborne. It's a Faith Girl series, 4 books. The first book was a little unbelievable. Not gonna lie, a little unbelievable, 3 stars. Writing from Reality was a bit better. It was cute. Got better, but book 3 and 4 really made the series for me. Now it should be noted, I don't do camo or hunting or anything, and the last 2 books weren't really about that. It really had more of the message of being kind to someone even when they're mean to you and hateful to you. And I liked that one, yeah. Book 3 was probably my favorite. But yeah, book 3 and 4 were really good. So I was happy to get those done and reviewed. So there we go. How long was this video? Was this video like crazy, y'all? I'm sorry. I keep having the problem where I have things I want to film. Like, I want to film about doing this book wall. I want to film about rereading. I have a couple tags I want to do. But I don't have time to film, typically. Life's just been a little too crazy busy. And just a lot of planning and whatnot. And it's just weird because in my history of book 2, it's always been the, I have time to film, but no idea what I should film. And now it's the reverse, which is really weird. So I'd be curious for my fellow booktubers, or which one do y'all typically? Which one are y'all typically? Because I have now been both, but I'm typically nowadays I have lots of ideas to film, but no time to film them, so bummer. But here we are, filming. Hopefully my next video will be at a timely fashion. Hopefully. So yes, thank y'all so much for watching. That is all for this video. I'd love to know if you've read any of these books. What were your opinions? Did we share any similar opinions on these books, y'all? I feel like I gave a lot of opinions and my thoughts on these books, but as always, I will be linking all of these books I mentioned will be linked with reviews in the description below. So if you want to go, why did you give this 2 stars? Or why did this book get 4 stars? What was the content like on that one or this one? All of it's there, y'all. So I hope you maybe find a new book you enjoy through them. I feel like I have some hits and misses in this video. Hits and misses. And my battery's dying, so I'm gonna go. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. I'm Lindsay from the blog booksforchristiangirls.blogspot.com, where in 2021 there's a new review typically every Monday and Friday. I hope to have a new video on this channel every other Thursday, and I'm on Instagram somewhat randomly, but I am on there, and Goodreads too. So see y'all next time. Bye!